Hi. We are 717 Sports.
So,
I am Connor.
I'm Gary.
And today we bring you the 2018 NFL Mock Draft. I've been writing mock drafts for the past 5 years, 5 drafts. Last year I did my first 7-rounder, so I got that one out of the way. But this is Gary's first mock draft. Is that right, Gary?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I'm happy to bring him along on the process. And I know he told me while we were writing up our notes and whatnot that he had a good time doing this.
It was very fun. Got to think about the teams and what they need, and what the combine was, and actually highlights of different players and what they did and how they impacted their college teams.
That's definitely right. So we're gonna go every other. Gary, obviously, with the number 1 pick.
Yep.
He has odds. I have evens, and I will end with 32 with Philadelphia. Gary, start us off.
All right. So number 1, I have Josh Allen going to Cleveland, quarterback out of Wyoming. He has a very strong arm. He has a great potential to be a great quarterback in this league. A lot of people say, you gotta, the Browns, your career ends. I mean, he can only do that for so long. So I think the Browns can be a great team next year. I think they might get into the playoffs. You never know. But Wyoming's not a very known school, prospects wise. You know what I mean? His accuracy rate was very low for quarterbacks being drafted. As Connor said earlier, out of the 32 starting quarterbacks, when they were drafted, their accuracy was above 60%, and his is 60% or lower. If I had to compare Josh Allen to anybody, it would be Cam Newton. Athletic, can run, strong arm, and amazing potential.
I have to agree. I mean, even more to the comparison to Cam Newton, the body, the frame, it's almost identical. There's a lot of muscle. It's tall. It's you can see over the offensive line. You can get the ball there. But kind of the point you said that, like I was talking to you about earlier, the 60% thing. So all 32 teams, all 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL that started last year in 2017, they all had over 60% accuracy when drafted. So the fact that, I think, if I'm correct, his accuracy was 56. So it was over 60%. Everyone else was over 60% except for Josh Allen. And that kind of scares you off, the fact that he only played at Wyoming. But you see what he does, and you see the combine, and you watch the tape, and you see almost like a fearless player. Like he kind of goes on the field with this huge chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And just goes out, and I completely love this pick.
Balls out.
All right. So I am the New York Giants, the 2nd overall pick, and I believe in Eli. I believe with Pat Shurmur, some big things are coming. I think a lot of before draft is going to be figuring out if Eli is going to play the next 2, 3, 4. How long does Eli have left?
Yeah.
What's his timetable? Because you can't rush him and you can't overdo him. So if I'm saying to myself, well, Eli's going to play the next 2 years, maybe grab a quarterback. In my mind, Eli has 3 to 4 left. So I think 3 to 4 years, you still put yourself in a position that you can get a quarterback. I mean, and you still have Davis Webb on the roster, who could be, your future starter, your future of your organization. So you gotta go best player available, and that just happens to be Saquon Barkley. Not a lot of running back prospects that look like Saquon Barkley, and I know number 2 is like such this big number for a running back to go.
Yeah.
But you kind of look what he did. He contributed in everything: punt return, kick return, running, catching, blocking. I saw a lot of, like, when Trace McSorley would drop back and Saquon stayed back, and he'd get these guys. I mean, for a modern day comparison, he really, to me, looks like Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, more than just the height and the size and what's going on, but kind of what he does. He catches the ball. He can run with the ball, the versatility that he has. And you kind of almost need that in a starting back today in the NFL. So, Saquon Barkley, you got anything to say about that one?
No, I think it's a tremendous pick.
Tremendous pick? All right.
So I have the Indianapolis Colts as the third pick, and I have them selecting Minka Fitzpatrick out of Alabama, defensive back. There's not much to say about him. You watch plays, you watch his highlights; they're incredible. He is, I think the second best player in the draft, just because he's athletic, he's very versatile. I feel like he could do anything. He kind of reminds me of a Deion Sanders kind of guy, kind of. If I just feel like Minka Fitzpatrick could do anything if you asked him to.
I mean, I like the pick. Minka is, one of those DB prospects you can't miss on.
Yeah.
You can't really find a downside to what he does, and the fact that he played both corner and safety in college is another big thing. I mean, we're saying to ourselves that, I know we were talking about it earlier, but the biggest question you have about him is where do you put him? Are you putting him at safety? Are you putting him at corner? I think that's like the biggest question mark that Minka Fitzpatrick comes with. But I like the pick. All right. So we're up to number 4. We have the Buffalo Bills. I made a trade with Cleveland. So we are allowing trades as long as it's with each other. And I had Buffalo trading up from 12 and 22. Just got the quarterback of their future, Sam Darnold. I like Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is an amazing prospect. I mean, you really think about it.
Yeah.
I think he has the highest floor out of everyone in the draft. I still think Josh Allen has the highest ceiling. But you gotta think about it, and you see what Darnold does. And he really took USC from the ground up. I mean, when he came in, there was nothing, and took him to a Rose Bowl, they started off this year, I think it was like number 4 in the country.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, wow, is this the USC we're remembering? The only downside I have is the Ohio State game. He didn't throw well. He panicked under pressure, and I think even bigger upon that, the fact that was his last collegiate game. He goes into the combine to show scouts, hey, I'm for real, and doesn't throw. That's I think that's a big knock on him, honestly. I mean, you have to remember that, and I think that's why he's his second quarterback taken. The fact that you ended your collegiate career, I mean, I don't want to say in such a horrible way, but you got bullied by Denzel Ward and the Ohio State team, and the fact that
yeah, it was not a good game.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah,
so.
Well, I have the 5th pick. That's Denver Broncos, and I have them selecting the guard from Notre Dame, Quentin Nelson. Notre Dame was probably one of the top teams in running. Their running back,
Josh Adams.
I almost said Steven Adams. Not basketball here, but
He's about 7 foot tall.
Steven Adams. Josh Adams was probably like a top 5 running back at maybe not top 5, but top 10 at least running back in college last year. And we gotta ask each other why. And I think Quentin Nelson was a big part of that. He's a very good run blocker. I mean, he's incredible. I don't have.
I think you hit the nail. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, honestly, Quentin Nelson, Josh Adams at the end of the year was really looking like a Heisman candidate. I mean, you're saying to yourself, this guy's putting up, 80-yard rushes, 2 or 3 of those a game, and you're saying, well, how is he doing it? Well, you have Quentin Nelson blocking like 2 guys at the line of scrimmage, run downfield, blocking another guy 20 yards off the line.
Yeah.
No way you can succeed. And before we move on from this pick, I mean, I really want to take a big note, and Quentin Nelson has to say thanks Zach Martin for this. I mean, we have 2 Notre Dame offensive linemen that are like huge, like they high on in their respective positions on the line, and I don't think anyone would have done that if Zach Martin wasn't there. I mean, Zach Martin came into the NFL 17th pick. Everyone's questioning, why is this guy a first-round pick?
Yeah.
And Joe Thomas retired the other day. This is officially the best offensive lineman in the NFL.
Yes, it
and
is.
You put yourself in that kind of position, and there you go. So, Quentin Nelson to Denver, I like the pick. So I am sitting at 6 with the New York Jets. Boy, oh boy. I kind of laughed to myself because if you really think about it, the Jets aren't this like terrible team, but the fact that okay, 2 years ago you drafted Christian Hackenberg, wrong white guy. You drafted Christian Hackenberg, who hasn't taken an NFL snap yet. So then, rather than you put in Bryce Petty, you had Geno Smith in. You had Josh McCown last year. You had more Bryce Petty. I mean, that's 5 changes right there at the quarterback position. And then you re-sign Josh McCown, and you go out and sign Teddy Bridgewater. I feel like they feel comfortable enough at the quarterback position, but at the same time, they're on 1-year deals. And I don't think anyone's better than this guy. He's fallen to me at 6. Josh Rosen. His pocket presence is almost calming to watch. He doesn't... It reminds me of a young Joe Montana.
Mm-hmm.
When he would stand in the pocket, and it almost felt like it could be like the last second of the game, but he never made it feel like that. You know, he was so calm under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Rosen, I mean, the only real downside I can think of is the character issue, and that's a pretty big downside to think of, but at the same time, a lot of it is the cockiness on the field, kind of the confidence on the field, weighed over off the field, and you know, if he gets that in check, I mean, you're going to be in New York. The lights are going to be on you no matter what.
Yeah.
And the city that never sleeps, the city that paparazzi everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You can't mess up like that. All right,
Nope.
You're up.
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the 7th pick, and I have them selecting Bradley Chubb out of NC State. Bradley Chubb is very athletic. There's you can't deny that from his time at NC State. His combine was decent. The only bad thing is that he had a 7.37 3-cone, which is not good for defensive end. When the commissioner ran almost in, what was it, 6 flat 40?
He ran a 6 flat 40. I would like to see Roger Goodell do a 3-cone, though. That would be pretty fun to watch.
That would be pretty fun to watch.
I think, and honestly, I think the tape speaks for itself. 10.5 sacks last year at NC State, and you're thinking to yourself, why didn't this guy go higher? And I really think a 3-cone hurt him. A 7.37, I mean, from a top defensive end prospect, and the fact that everything feels like it's, you know, it almost feels too perfect to be true, and then you see the 3-cone, and it's like, there's our problem. So,
yeah.
I mean, I like to pick Tampa Bay needs edge rushers.
They do.
I mean, you got to be able to get Jameis off the field and then defend and get him right back on. That's your hope and dream, is for a 3 and out every drive you can get.
Yeah.
And if you can rush the passer and you can stop the run, I don't know what more. I mean, other than coverage, and you still got Brent Grimes back there.
Mm-hmm. And you got Hargraves.
Vernon Hargraves. You know, I like to pick. I'm here at 8 with Chicago, and we go out. They sign Allen Robinson. They sign Taylor Gabriel. They sign Trey Burton. That offense I can't see it not being top 10 in the league next year.
Yeah.
And defense already was like top 10. I mean, at the end of the year, Chicago's hitting people, getting them down. So I think the only way you can improve on a defense is give it another weapon. You got a problem at corner. You don't know if Kyle Fuller's coming back next year. You just re-signed Prince Mukamura to a 1-year deal. So I say, why not? Denzel Ward's on the board. Let's hit it. Denzel Ward out of Ohio State. Physical. He's only 5'11", but he plays a lot bigger than himself. I mean, that's I think like the biggest thing is that he plays like so much bigger than himself. So I watched a hit earlier. I was watching highlights of him. It popped up in my Facebook feed, and he ran over, and I can't remember who it was against. I want to say it was Maryland. He ran over and he hit this guy so hard. Guy dropped the ball. Now, we expect that from like a safety. You expect that from a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
But to see a corner go up and hit him with so much velocity, this guy has to drop the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but the guy then is laid out on his back, like not knowing what to do. for a corner to do that,
Yeah,
that's
it's
big, and
incredible.
that's kind of what Chicago is. Chicago is one of those nitty gritty teams that we want to be able to hit. We want to hit. We want to tackle. We want, they'd rather take the tackle than let it up and take the big hit. So I think what we're looking at right now is Denzel Ward kind of fits in there, and start him off at nickel, move him around. I mean, I honestly don't see a better fit for him.
I agree.
Okay.
With the 9th pick, I have the San Francisco 49ers selecting Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver out of Bama. There's not much bad to Calvin Ridley besides, he's been having a running back thrown out in the past, 2 years. So the stats, the numbers don't really mean anything in this case. He has amazing hands. He's very athletic, can run routes well. He's the best wide receiver in this draft class by far. That's all I have to say about it. Do you have anything to add?
I think you kind of, again, hit it right on the head. I mean, he's had a running back throwing the ball for the past 2 years. And when you look at the film, you see the explosiveness, and you see the hands and the footwork, and then you look at the stats, and you're like, why aren't the stats adding up to that? And the real big thing is running backs and throwing the ball. I mean, we watched him in the second half. When Tua came in, he looked like a completely different receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something we have to remember, is that fact. So no, I like your pick. I'm at 10, Oakland. So I think one of the biggest problems in Oakland is the fact that they had corners last year that could cover down the field, and you weren't questioning that, but your linebackers, if you wanted to beat Oakland, you threw it to your tight end. I mean, there's no denying that. Oakland just let up with the linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you're saying to yourself, well, what can we improve? You still have one of the best linebackers on the board right now.
Yeah.
Tremont Edmonds. I mean, the dude's athletic. I mean, he's only 19. He's 6'5". He can get off the line. He can cover. He can do what you need him to do. I don't think there's a better prospect that especially fits what Oakland wants. I mean, Oakland needs a guy that's going to be able to cover a tight end, that's going to be able to rush the passer, going to be able to come up the middle. I think Tremont Edmonds, and you can move him around too. I mean, what better playmate to have, Khalil Mack with than Tremont Edmonds?
Yeah. That would be crazy.
That defense could be scary, and also hearing the interest from Ndamukong Suh to go to Oakland is that's something big.
Jordy Nelson.
Josiah and Jordy Nelson too. That team could be completely different. You got to give
good next year.
Got to give John Gruden his credit. He really took in a team that he didn't really have too much say over. He kind of already had his roster built out. And he said, "All right, well, I'm going to do what I want to do." Came out. He signed Doug Martin. He signed Jordy Nelson. And then you're able to keep your key pieces of Derek Carr and Khalil Mack.
Yeah, that was big.
So you're up with number 11. You're at Miami.
I have them taking the Baker Mayfield, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. He is very athletic. There's no denying that. He's a very strong arm. He can be a very great quarterback in this league. It's just that, he's kind of like Johnny, And that's sort of the downside to him. I mean, Johnny Manziel only making this league because of his personality and his cockiness and stuff like that. But I think Baker Mayfield can get his act together, and I think he'll be a good quarterback in this league.
I kind of found it funny when you were writing down this pick. We were talking about the idea that Miami wants to find a successor, and we said Baker, and you wrote it down, and then you right under it, right after, you wrote kinda Johnny.
Johnny.
You didn't write comparison to Johnny Manziel. You wrote kinda Johnny.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, but I have to agree. I mean, some of the antics you pulled on the field are definitely something that you raise an eyebrow to, and you have to do your due diligence in figuring out. But the fact that he fell, the Heisman winner, fell to 11 in a situation where Ryan Tannehill hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yep.
You're saying to yourself, what's after Ryan Tannehill? If Ryan Tannehill is forced to retire next year because of another knee injury, what happens? Here's what happens. Baker Mayfield. Get him in there. So, because of the trade with Buffalo, Cleveland now owns the 12th pick. So we are at Cleveland again. And I'm loving this pick, honestly, because I love this prospect just thinking about him. And it's more than just, everything going on with Cleveland. You just lost Joe Thomas. I mean, Joe Thomas, retired, and you need someone to fill his spot. So why not go out and grab somebody? I have him taking Connor Williams, offensive tackle at Texas. We want to talk about versatility. This dude could play every single position on the line. You know, and we kind of saw that at UT, where he was playing at one point. He was left tackle, right tackle, moved into guard. You know, could play a little bit of center. I think his best position is left tackle. I think it's the body, and he plays with almost this anger, this dirty mentality that he's gonna drive you. You come at him, he's gonna drive you down. But anything to say about that one? I mean,
I totally agree. I think it's a good pick since, Joe Thomas just retired, and, you need to, get someone in there that would be good, and I think he'll be good.
Before we move on, I do want to talk about Cleveland for a second.
Yeah, Cleveland.
So,
Cleveland's been crazy.
The trades they made, and you kind of think about it, the fact that they got Tyrod Taylor, and they got Demarius Randall, and they got Jarvis Landry, and then they go on free agency. They signed Carlos Hyde. They signed Chris Hubbard to play the right side. You're signing guards and tackles, and you're signing the positions that you need. You went outside T.J. Carey to play corner.
Yeah.
They're really rebuilding, and it's almost funny to watch a team do this, where they kind of hit this stride where it's like, okay, this is officially. John Dorsey came in. He said, "This is going to be my team. If I want this team, this is what's going to happen."
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see it. I mean, honestly, they've already really announced that Tyrod Taylor is going to be the quarterback. So in our mock draft, we haven't taken Josh Allen. Josh Allen would end up sitting behind Tyrod.
I think that'd be good, though.
I think the more than just right now, the potential that they play with, it's undeniable.
Mm-hmm. Cleveland has always been like a very bad team for a very long time. I think they're starting to change it.
They want to change like the face of the Cleveland Browns football,
Yeah.
where it's no longer these guys going 0-16 and every year you're fearing
paper
how many
bags.
losses. They want to finally start. Well, how many wins do you think we're going to get this season, rather than how many games are we going to lose?
Yeah.
How many games are we going to lose? Because I feel like that's been a problem in Cleveland for such a long time, where we're saying to ourselves, well, how long till we implode?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they kind of hit this point now. Now we've seen this in free agency before with them, where they have these like really great signings, and we're like, oh yeah, man, Cleveland's on the rise. I remember when we did it with Brian Hoyer. We're like, oh yeah, man, Brian Hoyer's gonna be the guy. They're going out, and I think they ended up going like 6-10.
Yeah.
Probably the best Cleveland record they've had in a while. But
Yeah.
at the same time, 6-10 isn't where you
Let it be.
exactly. So here we are, 13. This is all you.
Washington Redskins. I have been taking Roquan Smith.
Roquan.
Okay. Roquan Smith, the linebacker out of Georgia. Great athleticism, sideline to sideline. He's a very quick, very fast. If it's sideline to sideline, he kind of reminds me of like a Ryan Shazier. He's amazingly fast, and he can get to any spot in the field that he wants to. Even if he's all the way on the other side of the field, he can meet you on the other side. So
I agree with that. I mean, we kind of watched the playoff this year, and if I'm correct, it was fourth quarter, Georgia versus Oklahoma, and I feel like every tackle was just made by Roquan Smith, because you're just sitting there, and you're like, oh, there he is again, and it kind of happened a little bit in the national championship game too, for a little stride where you're like, oh, there's Roquan. My comparison, honestly, is Reuben Foster without the off-the-field problems. He doesn't have the off-the-field problems that Reuben has, but he reminds me of the same exact prospect. He's going to run down. He's going to hit you.
yeah,
He's not going to be afraid to hit you. And the fact that you can line him up in the middle, and he'll make it to the right side and stop that running back. I mean, we watched him multiple times.
yeah,
I mean, the dude's good.
very good.
So now we're in this kind of unusual position. With the 14th pick, we have the Green Bay Packers,
Which is surprising.
I can't remember. They've obviously done it, but I can't remember a time they drafted out of the 20s as of recently. I mean, past few years have been playoff, and then Aaron Rodgers goes down this year.
Yeah.
And you're finally in this position of crap, what's after Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
So I have him going, actually different position. I don't You know, they just traded for Deshaun Kaiser. I think Deshaun Kaiser is going to be the primary backup. Brett Hundley is expendable. I think Brett Hundley proved that he is a good quarterback this past year. You know, he definitely had some downsides, but I think the good outweighed the bad.
Yeah.
The fact that you're playing these defenses like to the wire, that definitely scares me. But the fact that you're getting the balls out, you're getting to where they need to be, you're putting them in positions for your receivers, you know. But defensively, I have to think about replacing Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews is in his 30s at this point. I think, if I'm correct, he's 31, 32. And not going to say he's not going to play into his, 37, 38, but you have to kind of get ready for a fact that one injury just might be the last.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes it from there. So I'm selecting for the Green Bay Packers, and I'm selecting Harold Landry. I mean, Harold Landry, amazing outside linebacker prospect. I think if Roquan and Tremaine Edmonds weren't in this draft, definitely my number one. I mean, the dude is athletic. The dude makes tackles. If he would have come out last year, there's big talk that he might come out last year, and you were watching tape, and it was like, wow, like this guy could be a first-round pick. This guy, he would have went before, all these big name guys that we now know in the NFL. But he decided to stay. And I wouldn't say his campaign last year wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst, but it definitely wasn't the best. It definitely hurt him a little bit. But Harold Landry, I mean, you can't do too much more than just upgrade a linebacker position that you desperately will need at some point. I mean, the only other position I can think of is corner, and right here, I mean, we're kind of in that soft spot where it's like, it feels too early for Josh Jackson, just because he had a really great combine, but you kind of think to yourself, is this too early? Is this one-hit wonder feeling? Is this, what are we looking at? And so I think you go with the safer pick. You go with Harold Landry. So
I agree.
You're up to 15, and you have a trade.
I have a trade between the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. I don't see the Arizona Cardinals having any need to take anything right now. So I have the Dallas Cowboys selecting James Washington, the wide receiver from Oklahoma State. You have Dez, tall, physical guy. End zone threat. He's always been. I mean, he's been on the decline since that injury. I forget which kind of injury it was, but ever since that injury,
he's been on the decline since the catch situation.
Yeah,
honestly, I mean, we kind of took a step back, and you say to yourself,
he made the catch. By the way,
he made the catch. The NFL officially ruled that he would have made the catch with the rules. So, but ever since that situation, he's kind of taken this big decline where it's almost scary to think about, because Dez at one point was dominant, one of the most dominant receivers in the league, and now you're saying to yourself, when is he going to get cut? You're sitting there. Him and I were sitting here, literally making the mock draft, and I have to keep checking: is he cut yet? Because we don't know. But I like the notes you wrote down for James Washington.
He's very fast. He's physical. He plays bigger than what he normally is. The size is. He reminds me of Emmanuel Sanders.
I really like that comparison. You think about it, and I mean, it's true. Emmanuel Sanders is only 5'10", 5'11", and he's taking on these dudes, and he's not backing down. He's not going to be afraid to go up and run by you, fight for a catch, and and I mean, that's kind of what you have to find nowadays in the NFL to get some production out of your receivers, and James Washington really fits that. I mean, this might be a little too early for James Washington, but I also think that what Dallas needs right now, that kind of fits. Where we don't need a speed guy to go running down the field. We kind of have that right now with Cole Beasley and Ryan Switzer, and now we're saying to ourselves, well, what else do we need then? I don't want a clone of Dez, but I would like a smaller version of Dez.
Yeah,
I would definitely like a smaller version of Dez, especially in his heyday. I mean, both Oklahoma State guys, so you're definitely able to work that. Both Cowboys, two-time Cowboys, and so I like that pick. So I'm at 16. I'm Baltimore Ravens. They just released Jeremy Maclin. Jeremy Maclin just hit the head. You have Mike Wallace, but who else other than that? Because you can't rely on Brashad Perriman.
Mm-hmm.
Brashad Perriman can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Chris Moore, we kind of saw it the last game of the year last year where Chris Moore wasn't bad,
Mm-hmm.
but he hit that point that you're like, ooh. He fumbled it and picked up, returned for a touchdown, and then you have to kind of outweigh the good with the bad. But at the end of the day, I don't think, Chris Moore is someone you're going to want to run a wide receiver 2 with.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think complete opposite. You kind of got the idea of the two very similar, but both physical guys with Dez and James Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going complete opposite. I have Mike Wallace, who's this fast guy who's going to run by you. I'm going to get a tall physical receiver. I'm taking Cortland Sutton, SMU. I mean, dude's 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
He's going to win your jump balls.
Yeah.
And especially going up against defenses, that can be the biggest game breaker.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get a guy, and a lot of games last year Baltimore had, if they had a guy that was that tall, able to jump up and get the ball,
Mm-hmm.
That might have saved him. Also, might would have saved him is health. And you're not really too worried about Cortland Sutton's health. With Brashad Perriman was drafted with the idea that he'll get healthy, and he's never really hit that point where, okay, I'm healthy now. Because we're kind of one adds up to another, that adds up to another, that adds up to another. But any...
I think it's a good pick.
I know you and I have been really high on Cortland Sutton for a while.
Yeah, I think he's a great...
you called me back in November talking to me about Cortland.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding you. I'm driving up to visit him at Shippensburg, and I'm driving up, and I get this phone call, and I forget what I was even talking about at first. He goes, "Yo, do you know this Cortland Sutton guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know him," because I'm saying to myself, "Of course I know him." He goes, "Man, that dude's gonna be a good receiver one day." He's like, "That dude's tall. That dude, he knows what he's doing." So, I know we're Steelers fans, if you couldn't tell. So it definitely hurts seeing him go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But best situation for him.
Yeah,
honestly.
it is. Honestly.
All right, you were
up.
up.
The quarterback isn't the best, but I ain't going to talk about that.
And I think another situation that I definitely have with this pick, making this pick, was there's no quarterback available to the draft. And Ozzie Newsome is one of those guys that he's definitely going to just he wants to get the predecessor ready. So if a quarterback falls to Baltimore, don't be surprised if they decide to go quarterback. That puts them in this position that, okay, now we're prepared for after Joe Flacco. Ozzie Newsome leaves as GM, and you already have your future set up. So, but definitely no quarterback really worth drafting here. So
I think he's a great red zone threat as well.
Oh, definitely. You're going to give him those jump balls in the red zone. He doesn't have the speed and doesn't have the off-the-field problems, but kind of reminds me of Martavis Bryant in that way. Mm-hmm. Martavis Bryant and kind of like an Anquan Bolden, where you're a tall guy, you're going to go up, you're going to make the catch.
You're going to jump up.
You're going to make your money off of these red zone balls. Mm-hmm. It's only like 2-3 yards out, but I'm going to throw it right in the corner of the end zone. You got to get it. Mm-hmm. He's going to make his money off that. But you're up at 17 with the Los Angeles Chargers. What you got for me?
All right. They're going to take the center from Ohio State, Billy Price.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think he's a great center. They need a center.
I really like this pick, honestly. Billy Price plays with this mean mentality. So putting Billy Price on the line with Dan Feeney and Forrest Lamp, that just screams greatness for Melvin Gordon, for Phillip Rivers, for everybody involved. I think the only thing that you really question here is this an appropriate time for a center? And I think with the Los Angeles Chargers, you really have that DB situation figured out. You have Jason Verrett, who I understand can't stay healthy, but you also have Casey Hayward. Mm-hmm. You have Desmond King. You have Trevor Williams. You have the pieces at defense that you're not really too worried about. Oh, well, what's coming in, what's going. You just re-signed Adrian Phillips to be your starting free safety. Definitely in this position, you got to fill your needs, and then best available at that position for center off the board, Billy Price, the Chargers. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties on our end, but so we're just gonna kind of push through the rest of this draft. Hopefully, no more errors come up. Yeah. So I am up with the Seattle Seahawks And I think my biggest thing was you got to keep Russell Wilson upright.
Yeah.
You know, as much as there is a need at corner, you have the future of your corner position. You have the future number one corner, which is your hope and Shaquille Griffin. And the other thing is, this is such a deep, you know, corner draft class
Yes, it is.
where it almost feels like I can go in the second round and I can still get a corner that's going to start for me day one, like a Jari Alexander out of Louisville. But the one thing that this draft doesn't have a lot of, it does have some, but mean guards.
Mm-hmm.
Mean physical guards. So I have him going, Will Hernandez out of UTEP. I mean, his combine showed for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, he really did. I mean, the dude looked great. I have him over Isaiah Wynn. I really like Isaiah Wynn, but at the same time, you have to prepare for that idea that you know, what if one is drafted before the other, and what is this? And so my idea is, well, they're both available right now for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seattle's going to take the best. My idea is Will Hernandez is the best. Go for it.
I totally agree.
All right, so you were on the back end of your trade with Arizona and
Yes, I am.
Dallas. So
And you like this pick, as I said it earlier. I have Arizona selecting Derwin James, the safety out of Florida State.
I love that pick.
That's an amazing pick.
I think my favorite part about that pick is the fact that Dallas traded up 4 spots. So Arizona goes back 4 spots. Arizona had no idea what they wanted. They could have grabbed Derwin James there at 15, and that we keep going, and Derwin James isn't taken. So the fact that you just traded back, you collected future picks, and you still pick up Derwin James,
Yeah.
it's a win-win scenario.
Yeah. This guy is incredible. I mean, he just lost Tyrann Mathieu, you know. Did they release him? They released him, right?
He was released, yes,
They
as
released
of
him.
yesterday.
You know, he was probably one of the best players on the team, to be honest with you. Besides Patrick Peterson and David Johnson. So I'll say the third best. This Derwin James is incredible safety.
I mean, I think coming with Derwin, you definitely have your injury concerns. I mean, he did get injured his junior year, comes in, it's an ACL injury, so you're going to play a little different from it. But he still came in and played at a productive level. I mean, and the dude, I wouldn't say he showed off at the combine, but you're definitely sitting there watching his combine like, oh yeah, that's a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like your first ideal safety off the board. Like Minka is like the breed.
Yeah.
Of he's that hybrid.
He's a hybrid.
He's the hybrid. While like we have our first pure safety off the board.
Yeah.
James. So I like that pick. I really do. So I am at Detroit with 20. They had just signed Frank Gore. The idea that Darius Geis goes into the backfield, that backfield's already overcrowded. I mean, now you got 3 heads that are going to want to get the ball. I mean, you know, between Gore, Riddick, and Abdullah. So running back was my idea at first, but then thinking of the backfield situation, I think you build up. You just lost floating on in free agency, so why not draft a defensive tackle, Deron Payne? I mean, especially Deron Payne out of Alabama. He's athletic. He's fast. Yeah, fast as you could be for a defensive lineman. But, you know, he looks the part and he plays the part. And especially putting him beside Ashawn Robinson, who, former Alabama defensive tackle as well. You know, we're pairing some people up here now with James Washington and Dez, and now we got, you know, Ashawn and Deron. So, you are up with the 21st overall pick. Let me preface this before we go with this pick. Cincinnati had traded back already with Buffalo. That was how Buffalo acquired the 12th pick. They sent Cordy Glenn and the 21st overall pick for the 12th overall pick, and then they swapped 5th and 6th. So this was not a trade we did. This is actually a trade that happened already. And Gary, you have?
I have Cincy taking Rashad Evans, the linebacker from Alabama. Seems like there's like a million Alabama players coming out this year. But, you know. I think
it's the problem is the fact that Alabama goes out there and wins every championship again.
Yeah.
And then you're saying to yourself, well, all their great players are defensive. You know, except for Calvin Ridley, honestly. I mean the biggest prospect from Bama in this draft is Minka, and then I would say Ridley, and then you're looking at defensive line,
Denzel
linebackers.
Ward,
Yeah, that's Ohio State. Wrong team, bud.
Oh no.
Wrong team, bud. It's okay. It's okay. It's like 2 a.m. while we're recording this too. So be very prepared. We are going to do a lot of mess ups if we hadn't already and not noticed them. So, I know I like the Evans pick. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a need at linebacker.
Yeah. Cincinnati, I feel like they got blown over the middle all the time last season.
That's very true, honestly. I mean, that's kind of was the beginning of their downfall. Other than I think to start off, it definitely was quarterback play. But I mean that a big thing was guarding the tight ends, guarding the guys that are going to come across the middle and get you, and they're not doing it. And so, and especially you can't rely on Vontaze Burfict anymore.
Yeah,
you can't rely on the idea that he's going to be able to play, whether it's suspension or injury or whatever. The guy can't stay out of trouble. So you have to get prepared for this idea that you're not going to have him. I know there are current trade talks with Oakland and Cincinnati to acquire Vontaze Burfict. Don't know how far they are along. I was reading that on Twitter earlier. So, but definitely something to watch out for. I mean, a linebacker could be great for Cincinnati right now. So, don't doubt that. So I am back with Cleveland again with this Buffalo trade.
Jesus.
This is all to acquire Sam Darnold. So to acquire Sam Darnold,
Buffalo. You mean
no, Sam Darnold. Buffalo traded up to the 4th overall pick and selected Sam Darnold.
Oh yeah.
There you go, bud.
Not bad.
Again, 2 in the morning. They got Connor Williams out of it first.
Yeah.
Now you're Cleveland. You say, well, my offense is good. It kind of took care of the tackle position for now. I already have, really, got a Carlos Hyde at running back. I mean, and it's a running back deep draft. If you really feel like you need another running back along with Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, you can go into the draft and grab
second, third round.
And that's where you're going to get your money rounds.
Yeah.
And especially you have John Dorsey, GM, who last year drafted a running back in, the 4th round, 3rd round? And dude led the league in rushing.
Yeah.
You gotta believe, that Dorsey can pull something like that out of his hat. So what you can't find in this draft so deep in is a shutdown corner. Josh Jackson out of Iowa, man. He's finally off the board. He was one of those that I was sitting there every time we go through a pick, and it really sucked because if there wasn't so many needs already, he would have gone way before this. But the fact that Seattle needs to worry more about keeping their offense up. Arizona, you have to fill the need that Tyrann Mathieu left with. I understand you have Antoine Bethea, but Antoine Bethea is almost 37 now?
I don't know.
It's like 36, 37.
Yeah.
And old. You can't rely on that forever. Detroit, not really in need of a corner. I could see Cincinnati, but also in the same idea that you don't have an inside linebacker right now. I mean, Ray Maluga is gone. If I'm correct, if I'm under the right correction, Ray Maluga is already retired. So you put yourself in this position now where you're like, well, what's next? And Josh Jackson falls here to Cleveland. I think this was a steal. Honestly, they traded up for Sam Darnold, and they ended up giving up what was an offensive line prospect. And arguably, we could look 10 years down the road and see that Josh Jackson might be the best corner in this draft. I don't know. I really like Denzel Ward. I'm really high on him, but Josh Jackson, he's a ball hawk, man. Coming from the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
you are sitting here at 23 with the Rams.
The Rams, the team that was supposed to do it all last year. I have, I'll make sure. It's Vita Vea, right?
Vita Vea.
My bad, dude.
Like I said, first mock draft, I taught him the whole way through it, so he's going to be a little rusty, but we're hoping to work on it.
It's defensive tackle, slash nose tackle out of Washington. This is what the Rams just need. They need a tackle that can get sacks, and the other, I think I read it. It's most of their sacks came from I don't remember actually now, but half their sacks were from 2 different players, and I believe one left, so you kind of filled the void.
half of their sacks came from Robert Quinn and Aaron Donald, and Robert Quinn was just traded to Miami.
Oh, okay.
See, I corrected him. Him and I were talking about this, so trust me. I'm here to pick up the scraps right now. But Vita Vea, I mean, big guy in the middle. You come in, clog the lane. I mean, especially you're going into what's going to be a very competitive NFC West.
Yes.
You know, you have David Johnson. You have whoever starts at running back for Seattle. Which one is it this year? Is it going to be Rawls? Is it going to be Lacey? Is it going to be Pro Size? They could draft one late, and he could be the future starter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then McKinnon, Jerick McKinnon just signed in San Francisco.
Yep.
To be the workhorse there. So you got to prepare yourself to be able to stop these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You went out, and your biggest need coming into the offseason was we need corners. They went out, they got corners. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So I think that was a really great pickup, honestly. I mean, Vita Vea, you can't really put yourself in such a better position.
Yeah.
So here I am with the 24th pick. I'm the Carolina Panthers, and my first thought is, what is the best receiver on the board? We traded away Kelvin Benjamin for pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I mean, it wasn't like we sent this huge first round deal. Before he got hurt, Kelvin Benjamin was on fire.
Oh yeah.
He had the knee injury. He didn't play the Super Bowl year. He came back. He was really rusty. This past year, he started off rusty. He was traded to Buffalo. I wouldn't say that he got better in Buffalo, but some of the kinks were able to be worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need if you're Carolina? Well, I need a receiver to line up beside Devin Funchess and Curtis Samuel. Sorry, again, 2 in the morning. Against Curtis Samuel. So I'm saying to myself, well, I have Curtis Samuel who can sit in the slot. He's like 5'10".
Yeah.
I have Devin Funchess who's 6'4". I need something right in between. So what if I told you can get a receiver that's 6'1"? That's right in between.
Yeah.
But is also just as fast as Curtis Samuel. Seems like a win, right?
Yeah.
Christian Kirk, Texas A&M. I mean, the guy reminds me of Percy Harvin. The way that when he gets the ball, he makes the play on it. Kick returns, punt returns. He's explosive, and I think it's the best way to put it.
I totally agree.
Totally agree. Yeah.
All right, so with the 25th pick, Titans, I have him taking Mike McGlinchey, outside tackle from Notre Dame. This is what they need.
You got to build depth on the offensive line.
Yeah.
I think it's your biggest thing.
I think.
And when you're already so built, and I think this was probably the first team that we looked at. We're like, okay, they can really just go best available, and not feel bad about it. Because a lot of these, if I were to go best available with some of these teams, you're sitting yourselves with, I'm hitting this, I'm hitting this, I'm hitting this. Well, Tennessee kind of took this off season. They said, okay, listen, we're going to go out, we're going to get Deion Lewis. We're going to go out, we're going to get Malcolm Butler. What's next? And so definitely getting Mike McGlinchey to kind of be the rotation tackle almost.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a relief from what he did in college. I mean, and I Notre Dame fan, so I watched Mike McGlinchey all the time, and he got beat a lot in pass protection. So definitely, because he was relied on so much in pass protection, so definitely something you want to watch, something you want to work on. But I like the pickup here. I mean, it feels right. It feels, and if something doesn't work right at tackle, you can always move him into guard.
Yep, you can move.
And that's the flexibility of Mike McGlinchey. Is he's already played. He was when Zach Martin and Rodney Stanley were there. He was a backup at guard. Then Zach Martin left. Rodney Stanley went over to the left side. McGlinchey came in at the right side. And with injuries, he moved in. He moved around.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I mean, that's something that interests Tennessee. That just go best available. You got Mike McGlinchey on the board. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I'm up with Atlanta. We just lost Dante Pell. We need somebody inside who may be just as athletic as Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett's really great. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've seen such a athletic defensive tackle in a while. So I'm going Taven Bryant, defensive tackle from Florida. He's raw. such a raw prospect, and you can't hit it on a coffin anymore that this could be the spot for him. I mean, with Dan Quinn, to work with Dan Quinn, and you know, I think Dan Quinn's probably one of the best defensive coaches out there. I think Mike Zimmer is definitely my top guy, but you know, Dan Quinn, to put him in with Dan Quinn and give him that opportunity, I don't think it's a better fit.
Yeah.
All right, you're up with New Orleans.
So, NOLA, you know. I have him taking Marcus Davenport, defensive fan out of
Finally.
Texas San Antonio. He was a big shocker at the combine, as we were talking about earlier. I feel like he came out and proved that he was, you know, worth the spot and worth the, you know, be a first rounder.
I agree, honestly. I mean, it started back at the Senior Bowl, where he's beaten these guys that are these, like, I mean, he beat Orlando Brown. Let me preface this real quick. I'm not a fan of Orlando Brown. Gary and I were talking about Orlando Brown earlier, and we figured out that with Roger Goodell's 40, that was a six flat.
Yeah.
He only ran 0.15 seconds faster.
Which is not
You're
very
running
good.
as slow as the commissioner. He's old. He's it upsets me. Because everyone is so high on Orlando Brown, and I can't help but sit here and say, why? He looks like Eric Flowers. The way he blocks, he looks like Eric Flowers. But Marcus Davenport, back to the subject. Marcus Davenport came in to the Senior Bowl and proved he deserved to be in contention for this number one pick, or for the first round pick. And then you sit here and, well, where's the best fit? He could have went early, but there are a lot more positional needs that are needed at the moment with some of these teams. So I definitely love the fit with Marcus Davenport going over to NOLA, as you put it.
NOLA.
And I'm up with the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 28. And we're both Steelers fans, so this really sucks. because I would have just loved for just, you know, Roquan Smith wanted to fall into my lap, or Traymon Edmonds. I would have loved Traymon Edmonds to fall into my lap, but I am not that gifted. So I'm put in this position of maybe not reaching for a linebacker, but, you know, grabbing, you know, best available linebacker. Do I grab best available safety? Because that's really the position you're in. You can't go best available all around, because then you're putting yourself in a position you don't want to be in with another running back. I still think best available right now at this point would be Darius Geis in this draft. But I personally think you go safety. I think you got to be able to cover down the field.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Covering down the field. Justin Reed, you know, Eric Reed's brother, safety out of Stanford. He looks the part, and his combine really showed he kind of is the part. Where the way he kind of ran and the way he did the ball drills, you're just kind of like, okay, you kind of sat back. And there's very few players in every draft you can just look and you're like, that's a Steeler. That's a Steeler defender. This is one of them. You just look at him and you're like, oh, that's a Steeler.
Yeah.
Again, 2 in the morning. You are up at 29 with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, Jacksonville Jaguars. So, you think about it, you know, they could have beat New England, you know, go to Super Bowl. I think they really could have. There was multiple things in that game they could have changed. You think about what they need, what they really need, like what's most important, and what stands out is tight end. And, you know, I hate to say it because, you know, I'm a Penn State fan, and I got to go with Mike Gesicki here, probably one of the most athletic people in this draft, you know. The vertical is he ran a 40 faster than Cooper Kupp and Antonio Brown, I believe.
Yes, if I am correct.
Yeah, I believe that was correct. I get like a 40 sort of.
It was I think if I'm correct, I can't remember the vert. It was record breaking.
It was like 40 something.
Yeah, he had a record breaking vert and broad jump.
Yeah,
and then he ran a 4.55 at the combine, and which is fast. I mean, honestly, if you're thinking of a tight end that's going to run a 4.55, I mean, he definitely took himself from. He definitely took himself from this nothing to now you're something to think about up here. I like his comparison that I gave him was Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
He definitely looks like Zach Ertz. Kind of, he's not a premier blocker.
Yeah.
But he's gonna go out. He's gonna get the ball in his hands, and he's gonna make a play with it. So I definitely like that.
I think the best tight end in the
In the draft right now.
I mean, you see.
I think Dallas Gohard gives him a little bit of a run for his money, but I think the combine did numbers for Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am up with the 30th pick in this draft. It's Minnesota.
Yeah.
They just got Kirk Cousins, and everyone around the world is screaming, "Oh God, why?" Because this team fell just short of going to the Super Bowl. Just short, 3/4 short of going to the Super Bowl, pretty much. But you got to be able to block.
Yeah.
So best available right now. It's definitely something that you could use. It's an offensive guard. I'm going Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia. We saw him in college be able to block, and I don't think there's a better player for Minnesota to select at this point.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of sitting back and you see everyone fall, and Isaiah Wynn is just his name that you're watching the whole time, and you're sitting there and you're just, when is he going to go? When is he going to go? When is he going to go? And he finally goes at 30. I like his blocking. I mean, the guy helped lead Georgia to, he kept those guys upright. He gave the running backs those holes, and definitely something that Minnesota could definitely use. I mean, I don't want to say their offensive line's getting older, but it's definitely not the way it used to be.
Yeah.
And so it could definitely use a little bit of help as they win. Definitely helps with your last pick in this draft, number 31, the New England Patriots.
The team I need the most.
The runner-up in the Super Bowl. What you thinking?
All right, so I have them taking Carlton Davis. They just lost Malcolm Butler. One of the main reasons they lost the Super Bowl is, their corners, they didn't do very well at all. It seemed like the Eagles just, threw the ball all around them. I mean,
I can't deny that.
I mean, that's how you beat the Patriots, you gotta throw the ball.
That definitely looked like it, honestly. I mean, I think Eric Rowe was blown up in coverage a lot, and a lot of those plays were with Alshon Jeffrey, these jump balls. You got to get a tall corner in there. You already have one tall corner with Stephon Gilmore. Get another tall corner, Carlton Davis. So we're definitely, I love that pick as much as, oh gosh, we just gave New England something new. It almost feels, a little bittersweet, but Carlton Davis definitely deserving of first round pick.
Yeah.
And I am up with the last pick in this draft for our video. 32nd overall pick, Philadelphia Eagles.
Boo.
Best available. You don't have a need. You just won the Super Bowl. You have 7 running backs pretty much on roster. You got receivers everywhere. I mean, honestly, I think your biggest need right now would be depth at the linebacker position. I mean, Jordan Hicks got hurt last year, and that definitely hurt them a little bit down the line, where you're putting Daniel Ellerbe in. You're signing Daniel Ellerbe off the streets, working at McDonald's, bringing him in, just, hey, want to play? So I'm going Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker out of Boise State. This guy really jumped off my board. I mean, he really, he was one of those that Senior Bowl blew up. Combine blew up. But because of so many other blow-ups in the Combine, it almost felt like he moved back.
Yeah.
Because there were so many others that the Combines that just blew you out of the water with linebackers, as specifically Jakeem Griffin.
Yeah.
Shaq Griffin. The dude, Leighton Vander Esch, he's a good linebacker. He's able to play, tackle. He can make the tackle. He, I wouldn't say he's the fastest guy around, but he's definitely versatile enough that he's able to drop back in coverage, but also, watch the run and all the following. Anything to say about that one, Gary?
I think it's a great pick. We talked about this earlier. Their linebacking core got kind of injured last year,
Yeah.
So I think, you add a little bit to that. You always have backups. I think it's very important.
I think if any team to show that you need backups, it's definitely Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The fact that their backup quarterback just went out and won
Yep.
the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP, it shows that you really need backups at all positions you can think
yeah.
of. And so linebacking, I think,
Yeah.
is the next thing. I think we're done with the draft. I just want to mention before we end the video, biggest snub of the first round. I would have to go Darius Geis.
Yeah.
Darius Geis did not get drafted. You're sitting here, you're saying to yourself, well, where is he going to go? Where is he? You know, maybe there's a situation someone wants to trade up with Cleveland for that first pick in the second round, grab Darius Geis. I mean, I don't think Darius Geis is the best running back in his class by far, but he's definitely not the way. He's second best, honestly. You watch the way he runs. He runs like beast mode.
I think, if Cleveland wants to draft that, in the next round, they can,
I mean, definitely, Cleveland always... We talk about Cleveland because it's so easy to say that Cleveland could use a piece because they have so many missing pieces.
Mm-hmm.
They are the puzzle that you just bought at Salvation Army that only has 7 pieces of 100. So you were trying to figure out what's going on and trying to add little pieces as you go, a makeshift puzzle.
Yeah.
So definitely he could be one of those pieces.
Yeah.
I
think you don't need you don't need a Saquon. I mean, yeah, Darius Geis is the second best running back, but
a Saquon would have been nice.
Yeah, Saquon would have been nice, but I think what's more important is that a quarterback, because that's the leader of your team. He controls the offense.
The ball's in his hand, and I understand what you're saying. My biggest defensive snub, I'm trying to think right now, I think probably would be Maurice Hurst out of Michigan. Definitely someone that the combine didn't hurt him, his heart condition did. Found a heart condition at the combine and sent him home, and that definitely, it scares teams off. And I kind of compare it to what happened to Jalen Smith and Miles Jack a few years ago in the draft, where they had these horrific injuries, and then these conditions that come with them with the surgeries. Well, when are they going to play? When are they going to come out? When are they going to do them? And it almost pushes teams back. Really afraid to pull the trigger on that. Or do I really want to, take a first round pick for that?
Yeah.
So that is the end of 717 Sports' first video. So very proud of us. Made it through at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning.
2 in the morning again. So definitely want to bring out some great content. We're definitely going to start working on some stuff.
NBA stuff,
NBA stuff. We definitely want to hit a lot more football, college football, college basketball.
March Madness,
especially getting ready for opening weekend in baseball. Oh yes. I'm not sure what our next specific video will be.
Yeah.
But if I'm correct, we are talking about probably the next video around the time we'll be free would probably be in time for draft reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So react to every first round pick in the draft and go from there, honestly.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, and hope to see you guys soon.
See ya.
See ya.